What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here and we're live for Monday evening quarterback. And as always, we got Jeremy, the depleted fantasy team, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers joining us. What's up, man?
Yeah, it's not looking good. I guess when it's actually not as bad as you would think. I mean, obviously I lost Godwin, but I recently, I picked up just this last week, and I don't know why. I guess because the season was tightening up, I started getting rid of some players that I've had on my bench that I just didn't think would be necessary. So yeah, so I picked up who did I pick up recently? I'm going to my team now.
White guy from the Raiders.
Hunter Renfrow. I picked him up, and then I also picked up who else did I get? Oh, T. Higgins. I got T. Higgins. So I've got him, and on my bench I've got Adam Thielen. So I'm in pretty good shape. I'm in pretty good shape. I mean, losing Godwin sucks. Clearly, Fournette being hurt, that's going to hurt. But
yeah, how long is Fournette out?
Not sure, but I got Zeke and I got Joe Mixon sitting on my bench right now.
Oh, well, Zeke ain't shit.
Yeah.
Zeke can eat shit now. He sucks. But yeah, Joe Mixon's solid.
But
obviously.
I might lose this week because of how bad yesterday was. Now, it's not going to matter in the big scheme of things, but I might lose to David, who literally he didn't even look at his – Lamar Jackson was starting quarterback for him. He's got Lockett, who's out with COVID. Didn't even start him. But Andrews for Baltimore scored 37 points for him. So, but either way, I mean, it's not as bad as you would think. But it is kind of, it sucks. You know what I mean? But I've planned for this, so I think I'm going to be okay. I don't have the team that I had, and Ryan is
you haven't had to deal with anything yet. Like this is really your first other than Gronkowski, but this is your first oh shit, that was a rough week because of injuries.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad week. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think I'm going to end up playing Ryan next week. I don't know. You and Tugs are close. That's a close game.
I had a lot of players play like shit this week. But I got my two studs coming up, but they're both projected to get a lot and they have to score a lot. So that's always tough when you have wide receivers that are projected to get over 20 points. That's a good week. Over 20 points in our league's a good week. So we'll see what happens going forward. But as before we get into it, we see Lar at 1996.
Lar, what's up, Lar?
With the 20. Thank you so much, Lar.
Thank you for always being so supportive. Just drops it there. Doesn't even say anything. Obviously, if you ever want to say anything, but we do appreciate you, man. Always dropping that 20, just stopping by all the streams. Thank you, Lar. We really do appreciate you.
Yeah, and I think Lar kind of just lurks, right? Just sends 20 and then lurks, maybe watches it on replay, stuff like that. So we always do appreciate the support, man.
Absolutely.
But we might as well start with what Jeremy made a video about last night and the reason that he had so many issues with his fantasy team this week. And that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting shut out. Did we do any digging about the last time Tom Brady was shut out? Did we get any confirmation on that, Jeremy?
Confirmation, and I'm glad. The best thing that came of Tom Brady getting shut out is the fact that now, once again, we have to acknowledge that no, Nick Saban was not the disaster in the NFL that everyone likes to say he was. The last time that Tom Brady was shut out was a Nick Saban-led Miami Dolphins team. That was the last time. 2006. Brady's been shut out 3 times in his career. The first time was against the Buffalo Bills, I believe in the second year he was a starter. So we got shut out against the Bills. Then once again, he was shut out against the Miami Dolphins in 2006 under Nick Saban. And then last night versus the New Orleans Saints. Those are the only 3 times in his career as a starting NFL quarterback he has been shut out. Absolutely insane.
And those are all just because of the greatness of those coaches. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, but there's something. But if you look at Nick Saban's career, like if you actually look at it and study it, he actually did really well in Miami, all things considered. He turned them around big time his first year. His second year, they regressed, but that was because he had Joey Harrington as his starting quarterback. And
it wasn't like he was Urban Meyer or something down there. Is basically what we're saying. Yeah,
not at all. But regardless of that, the Saints have Brady's number, and I was even reminded in the comments of my video that I made because I said that, Brady has struggled substantially since he's come to Tampa Bay against the Saints, which he has. But I was reminded, there was a Monday Night Football game that against the Patriots with the Saints in the Superdome where they just got blistered. I remember Brady and Belichick standing on the sideline just completely frustrated. I don't know what it is about the Saints, man. They've just got Brady's number. I don't know what it is in regular season, by the way. So I guess we're going to see how this is. But bigger than the loss itself is the amount of injuries. My goodness, this team is completely so Godwin's out, done.
Godwin's done. Torn ACL, officially done for the year for Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess we've got Antonio Brown, which is not going anywhere. No matter how many beta male sports writers want to try and get him out of Tampa, it's not happening. It's funny how they're more passionate about him faking a vax card than they were him beating a woman. These beta male sports writers are more passionate about Antonio Brown leaving over this than physically assaulting a woman. But priorities, I guess. So.
Yeah, basically. And I think it's safe to say after Bruce Arians was kind of rattling the saber a little bit when it comes to Antonio Brown, not sure if he's going to stick around with those injuries. He's definitely 100% going to be there. And speaking of someone else who is going to be here, we got the great Robert Barnes. What's going on, brother?
How goes it?
It goes
How you doing,
good,
sir?
We're doing better than Tom Brady was last night. That's for sure.
Or than the league is. I mean, I don't know how long they're going to sustain these crazy check regimens, testing regimens when they clearly don't work at two levels. One, I mean, clearly the whole vaccine idea was supposed to prevent this from occurring. It clearly failed. And then the testing is producing a lot of asymptomatic people who don't pose a risk of spreading it. And all it's done is thrown complete havoc into, to quote Nick Rekieta, who's paraphrasing Mark Richards, into the league. I mean, this was a crazy, a bunch of games came off the board this week and then went back on the board late. We got Monday games, we got Tuesday games in the NFL, and we got who knows what. I mean, I don't know what's happening. I think the Raiders are up in the current Browns game, but I have no idea who's playing for the Browns. And
Raiders are up. Raiders are up 10-7. Nick Mullins, I believe, is playing quarterback for the Browns right now, but not Baker Mayfield, not a bunch of other people because of these COVID protocols. And like you said, it's ridiculous the fact that we have been dealing with this stuff in every single professional league, that they're taking these sort of steps for guys that are between the age of 20 and 35 for the most part, prime physical condition. They're not a risk factor for this. We've known that all along. It's all a political game. And now the NFL's, in fact, has changed their COVID health and safety protocols now that it's actually affecting the schedule, now that it's actually coming to light. Oh, look, all these huge important players are now missing games. This not only affects the bottom line, but it has playoff implications. The owners are going to be pissed. Now they're changing it. So they're doing something that would have made sense to do from the very beginning. They're not going to test people unless they're symptomatic. Well, let me put it this way. They're not going to test vaxxed players unless they're symptomatic. If you don't have the jab, you're still going to be subject to, I think, bi-weekly random testing, which is ridiculous. 95% of the NFL is vaxxed. Virtually everyone that's on these being held out is vaxxed. So it doesn't do exactly what they promised.
It's a joke. It really is a joke. My goodness. And it's ruining. Go ahead.
I was saying, how much money are they willing to lose? I mean, over this gibberish.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe they'll bring Spider-Man into the NFL to make up for all of their woke bullshit, because that's how Hollywood's operating right now. I mean, it's just to save them. But yeah, they just I don't understand it. It makes no sense at all. Yet here we are, and we continue to see it. We continue to watch it play out right in front of our very eyes, and it's part of a bigger problem in the world. But it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, especially, the NBA decides to bring Kyrie Irving back because the Nets the NBA is realizing that's not playing well for him. The Nets realize that's not playing well for them. But he can't play in his own home stadium because of the crazy New York City rules. I mean, it's just levels. And then you have all the English Premier League had to cancel a bunch of games. This doesn't even deal with the Danish player who had a heart attack, who maybe or may not, but there's concerns it may be connected to the drug. Now he loses his contract with Inter Milan. I mean, it's I don't think this is playing out the way some people thought it would play out, because we're seeing the downsides and seeing very few upsides to this mass vaccination campaign for, as you mentioned, a disease that just isn't a major threat to people in this age group with this level of athleticism. And the drug may be a unique level of problems for them.
Yeah, when you look at everything, and obviously we're not doctors, we're not giving anybody any medical advice whatsoever. Talk to your doctor for that.
Nor is Bill Gates or the head of the NFL or the head of the NBA.
That's true. Right. That's right.
They're playing doctor, but just for the record, we're not doctors either.
Exactly. But when you
Big Bird clearly has a medical degree. We have to listen to Big Bird. So
yeah, don't listen to Joe Rogan, but definitely listen to the Jonas Brothers, right? That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
But when you look at these guys and these athletes, they are literally the lowest risk factor for this. However, male athletes like this, they may very well be in the highest risk factor for any potential drug they might take to be able to play and be able to get by all these COVID protocols. That's a huge decision for them. And a lot of them decided to just suck it up and do it because they were being pressured by the mainstream media. They were being pressured by their team. They were being pressured by the league, by everybody. And now we see those effects. And all along, the NFL has told everyone, this is the best way to protect our players. This is what we have to do. We have to abide by these rules. We know it's strict. We know it's tough. We know it's cumbersome, but this is for your health. Now that we see all these positive tests, all these people that are being held out, all these games that are getting shifted, now they're shifting the narrative. Now it's no longer, oh, well, this is all for your health. Now it's, well, we've determined that this isn't actually necessary. We know our players are safe doing this, because as the narrative changed, the science continues to change. And that's been a problem with this entire thing from the beginning.
No doubt about it. And you look at, cyclists, people that were Olympic competitors, people that have been in a wide range of sports, tennis players, others who have come out and say they regret, and NBA players who come out that suffered injuries, who came out and said they regretted taking this shot. And so I don't think that they wanted to use the sports arena to reinforce a cultural, political narrative that the shot is the solution and everyone must use it. And it hasn't played out well in terms of the court of public opinion, because they've seen games get canceled that weren't supposed to get canceled. Players suffer injuries that they weren't supposed to suffer. Diseases continue to spread that were supposed to no longer spread. And it's one more illustrative example of how the wokesters in control of sports, culture, and politics have had their agenda backfire for the whole world to witness.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like me. I mean, sports is our escape, just like movies are our escape and video games are our escape. And when you bleed in the real world into it and the real world problems, they lose the element of what brings us there to begin with. And of course, this is what they want, though. They want politics to be involved in everything, because the more division that's created, the more they can make weak-minded people feel that you need the government's help. You need the government to be there. And so that's their point. They want this intertwined into our escapism. And here we are trying to, like,
I guess
we get. Oh, go ahead.
Testing. I would say they're not doing mass testing apparently for college football bowl games, because I haven't heard of any problems on the bowl side. So they must not be doing mass testing on that side, because anybody's doing mass daily testing is seeing, and whether it's the test have issues, whether it's that the vaccine doesn't work as intended, whatever the deal is, anybody doing daily testing is seeing spikes all over the place. But I guess not in college football bowl games, because they want to make sure those checks get cashed.
Yep.
The problem is we're treating this for some reason like it's so vastly different than anything else. It's December. It's getting into winter time. It's getting into the holiday season where a lot of people get sick.
Flu season, right?
Exactly, right? And you know what? A lot of times you will get the flu, but you might just not have symptoms. Your body might fight a little bit. I got some people that I'm close to that interact with on a daily basis who have been sick the past several days. Not with COVID, just with regular stuff. And you know what? I've been a little bit tired, but I haven't been sick because my body's just fighting it off. It's not a big deal. But for some reason, we are treating this as though it's a huge deal. Never before would we ever have a test for someone that walked in the door just in case you have the flu. No, you wait till they're symptomatic and then you handle it. You treat them. But for some reason in sports everywhere, it's just been different for this. For literally no reason.
The Spanish flu attacked people of this age and demographic disproportionately at about a 10 times more lethal rate than this one. And we were still playing football out there in 1918. We weren't skipping football season. So especially football is supposed to be the ultimate man sport, tough guy sport.
Yep.
Unless you're a Vanderbilt field goal kicker or some nonsense. But for everyone else, and everybody's wussing and says, "Oh, I'm asymptomatic, and I have this little quasi flu, whatever you want to call it, the China flu, whatever we're not supposed to call it lately." And I can't play now. I mean, it must be driving some of these players nuts that this is going on, and especially this is crutch time. This is right down the stretch of whether you're going to make the playoffs or not, and you got about a dozen teams that are right on that edge. They're either in or they're out, depending on what happens in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Baker can't play tonight. Baker Mayfield can't play tonight because of this, and he let the NFL have it shortly before they changed their rules. You got, I think it's the Chargers. I don't know if it's Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa. I think maybe Nick Bosa may be in health and safety protocols now. You've got these big stars for these teams that are going down and being held out for a week for no reason.
Yeah,
and this will have an impact on the NFL season. It's bullshit.
Well, I guess it tells you how bad the Jacksonville Jaguars are. They finally get rid of their coach. They get the lowly Texans at home, and they still get whooped. I mean, how bad do you have to be? I mean, I understand why Urban Meyer was out kicking them. I mean,
they should have kept Tebow, then they wouldn't be in this position. They'd be winning games in the fourth quarter with Tebow completing his third pass of the game. It'd be magic.
I agree. They wouldn't be in this position. They'd be 0-13. I agree, Jeremy.
We called this at the very beginning of the year. Urban Meyer didn't want to be there. It was obvious he didn't want to be there. The only question was, when was he going to get fired? I think he was trying to get fired while keeping his paycheck. Turned out that didn't work. Kicked one too many kickers to survive that. But and I'll give the owner credit. The owner was basically biding his time, thinking, okay, that's a check. Okay, one more, and I don't have to pay him 4 more years. And that was that. But the Jaguars need to. I mean, that franchise has been dead now for what, almost a decade? Half a decade at least. They need to really rebrand with a much different coaching direction than where he has gone in the past. So we'll see if he makes a wiser, brighter move on a go-forward basis. I still think Trevor Lawrence has potential. Maybe not. We'll find out. But it was not a great testing out for the interim head coach to get whooped at home by the Houston Texans.
It's pretty bad. I mean, look, They did have the number 1, number 2, and number 4 best-selling jersey in the NFL for a short period of time with their backup tight end. Should have kept him. At least you would have been profitable. If you would have been profitable and relevant, you would have led ESPN every fucking day, every day. But whatever.
Well,
I'm never gonna stop preaching for the greatness of Tim Tebow. I want Tim Tebow back in the NFL. I don't care. Put him in the backup quarterback position. I don't care.
When even Urban Meyer, who's like best friends with Tebow and has by far the worst judgment in the world, won't keep Tebow there. He won't give him a chance. It's bad. He's letting Carlos Hyde run out there. He's force feeding Carlos Hyde the ball because they know each other, but not Tebow.
I will never understand why that man's not in the NFL.
I did say yesterday that Tim Tebow would have kept Urban Meyer on the straight and narrow. He would have guilt tripped. He would have guilt tripped with God. He would have made Urban Meyer get back on that plane and not feel up that girl in the Cincinnati bar. So Tim
Tebow kept Aaron Hernandez from killing people. Okay, and he kept Urban Meyer from quitting based off medical conditions, or I don't remember any players getting kicked when Tim Tebow was around Urban Meyer. This man transcends greatness on and off the football field, and he made Urban Meyer a respectable human being for a short period of time. So.
Do you remember when he was in the Mets minor league system and somebody I don't know, passed out or got hit with a foul? Something happened on the sideline. He went over there and started praying for him.
He's so great, dude.
And people were like, Tim Tebow's an angel. You know what I mean? Like they're literally the power of God come down upon me. That's what they were thinking happened. But yeah, Tebow's a great dude. I would never want him on my NFL team unless he's on the sidelines holding the clipboard. And even then, I'm not sure if he could read all the way to the bottom of the page. But other than that, back to Urban Meyer.
I always bring it to Tebow. I'm sorry.
I know. Like, what do you with the way he exited, with the fact that now he has this allegation of kicking Josh Lambo, which I think is kind of blown out of proportion a little bit. What's the future for Urban Meyer? I think he has to disappear for a while, even for any college to kind of take a stab at him.
Well, I think it's three different things. I don't know what the nature of the contract is, but he may have grounds to challenge his firing for cause, whether what he did was necessarily for cause. So there's that one option he has. Does he want to fight it in the courts? That's what John Gruden ultimately chose to do in challenging his firing by Oakland. The second choice is, does he go back into broadcasting, and do broadcasters want him right now? Probably they don't want him right now. Probably want a little bit of some time before they bring him back, probably 2 years or so before that can happen. And then the third thing is, does this damage him in such a way that he wants to restore his reputation, or needs to restore his reputation by going back into collegiate coaching? Because he won't make it in the NFL. I think that ship has sailed. That's not going to come back around. It was kind of a surprise to many people he got it the first time around. So but I mean, clearly he's proven himself as an elite recruiter and a good college football offensive mind. It's just didn't translate to the NFL. And there'll be plenty of college programs that'd be happy to take another shot at. I mean, Hugh Freeze gets caught with, dialing escorts for players. And the program that gives him a new gig is Liberty, the Baptist University. So, if you can get wins, everybody will give you a second chance at the apple. But I think it depends. He's rich enough to retire. He doesn't need any of this. So the question is, does he care? Does he want the attention? Does he want the involvement? Aspects of what he was going through look like problems with the NFL. Other aspects looked almost like what Clay Travis and others were joking about vis-a-vis Brian Kelly and others, but midlife crisis-ish. So it depends on what the real underlying motivation was. This just a bad fit? That's my takeaway. And I think he recognized it, wanted out and still wanted a golden parachute to go with it. Wasn't able to, rope that in. But he did not fit the modern NFL, and he was never going to fit the modern NFL. And to his credit, he recognized that, and probably should have just got out early and just bought the bullet and cut a deal earlier. That's, salvage some of his cash. But he's independently wealthy. I think if he wants to restore his football coaching reputation, this, I think, took a hit, but not a huge hit. Nick Saban was not a success at Miami with the Dolphins. Does anybody care? I don't think anybody cares. No. He'll go down as the greatest college football coach in history. And he did it the program that had the prior greatest college football coach in history. So, it's no one's going to say, Nick Saban, he didn't do well with the Dolphins those 2 years. I don't think this will matter too much on Urban Meyer 2-3 years from now anyway. He's still a guy who had 3 undefeated seasons at Power 5 programs and 2 national championships at 2 different programs. 3 championships in all, but to do it at 2 different programs, there's, I don't know if anyone else has done. I was trying to figure out, other than Nick Saban, I don't know who else has done that.
Those are the only 2, I think, that's won at 2 different programs, I think. I think Urban Meyer, I know that, there's a couple of comments in the chat. Number one, and I mentioned this as a jokingly last week, that he should just go to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama because that's where everybody goes to rehab. He's way too big for that. He would never he doesn't need that. Lane Kiffin needed it. The other guys needed it. Urban Meyer doesn't need that. Brando, he said he should go to Florida State. That would be the most beautiful thing ever if Urban Meyer goes to Florida State and brings Florida State back to national prominence.
He would. They would be there 2 years. ACC would be a good place to go right now, too.
Yeah, absolutely. He would be a better fit at Florida State than either Florida or Ohio State. Yeah. Florida State is more carefree. They just are not that rule-oriented in terms of that's just their tradition. The ACC is a much weaker conference than the SEC. Maybe on par with the Big Ten, depending on the circumstances. But you could argue, lesser but greater. But also a great time to compete in Florida. He'd compete against Napier at Florida. He'd compete against Cristobal at Miami. So he'd get the big games and get to prove his point. But it would be like, Rick Pitino going back to Louisville after he coached at Kentucky. It would be that. And what did Pitino do? He reestablished his reputation in between banging some chicks and, doing some other things he wasn't supposed to do. But that didn't come out until after he won the national title. And does anybody really think Louisville fans say, oh, I feel so bad that we no longer have official recognition of that national title? Nobody does.
No.
It's like USC fans. Saying, Yeah, they're not deleting their videos and of those games. They're not taking down their photos and tickets and memorial from those national.
No one actually doesn't think that Reggie Bush won a Heisman. Yeah,
exactly. They don't care what somebody is. It's like OJ. What's funny is that joke was made by Norm Macdonald to Reggie Bush, which is funny. If you get the Heisman, the only way you can lose it, well, just make sure you don't kill two people. Irony. OJ didn't lose the Heisman immediately.
Reggie Bush did.
Reggie Bush did.
Yeah.
So just one of those historical anomalies. But I think, Urban Meyer can definitely. I don't think he has to. I think his reputation is sealed. He's still gonna in a Hall of Fame college football coach. But I think if his ego was pricked by all of the media coverage here, he'll probably try to go back to one college.
I think it 100% is. Yeah.
The guy, going to your point about he's never going to coach for Saban, the guy's ego is rather large.
Yeah. Yes. He would never coach under Saban.
Even with someone like a normal size ego for a coach, once you've been there, like the things that he's done. Again, Nick Saban's really the only guy in the past 30 years. Really, Nick Saban's the only other coach that's on top of Urban Meyer when you look at the college landscape over like what they've done. So there's no way he would be assistant to him like that.
Nope, he's not. But I think he is ego driven enough to, all the stories have a common theme in Jacksonville. His ego was huge, and it couldn't fit in with other NFL and what is professional NFL coaches, professional NFL GMs, and professional NFL players. Their egos are just as big, and they could care less who you are. Whereas college kids will do what they're told. College assistant coaches will do what they're told in ways that don't happen at the NFL level. And clearly, so if he goes back to the college level, he would still be very successful, particularly if he goes to a program where he has a lot of local talent. But this is a guy who was a great coach at Bowling Green, great coach at Utah. I mean, he made Alex Smith the drafted bowl candidate that he was, gave him an undefeated season.
Yep.
So before Kyle Whittingham putting up what he did, Urban Meyer did what he did. So his reputation is still golden, I think, in college circles. There's some places where he'd be a little hot politically, but not most places. I mean, college football is just not the same as the NFL. There's plenty of places in college that do not care what media baggage you have. Hugh Freeze proved that he got a gig. I mean, look at what's his name. He got caught with the chick on the bike in the Arkansas. Louisville was giving him his job back right away soon afterwards. They only fire people when you commit the true sin of losing too many games.
That's it. I'm calling it right now. It's either going to be Florida State or Texas. That's where he's going to go, because those are the only two universities that he's not going to go to a low tier university. And
Texas is joining the SEC.
So he'll probably stay away from Texas.
Yeah, he won't go.
Florida State.
Florida State.
He would have liked Penn State maybe, but then he's in the shadow of Ohio State. I think Florida State makes perfect sense for
and he's still in Florida, where he can kind of, he can kind of make up for the Jacksonville thing, because he kind of failed in Florida. I'm sure he'd like to reestablish Florida, and it's Florida, the Gators, in-state rival. I think that's the perfect scenario. And look, this is a place that had Jameis Winston as their quarterback. I mean, they clearly have no standards for the people that represent their university. So,
and Florida State University is known as, could have been FCU, Free Chick University. He'll have plenty of girls he can find there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think he disappears for a time. You know what I mean? Just to
at least a year.
Get the heat off.
He goes wherever Ed Orgeron is hanging out and chasing chicks.
Yeah, he said, I heard you know where to find him. I'm in a little bit of hot water. But let's take a look at some of these super chats. Thanks for being here, guys. Wolfsbane for 5. As a Falcons fan, I have a respect-hate relationship with the Saints. I hate them for all the losses, but respect them because they're a good team. They've stayed competitive this year, despite the retirement of Drew Brees, despite the ACL injury to Jameis Winston. They have continued to stay competitive.
Speaking of Falcons, I'm starting to think Matt Ryan is done. I mean, they get to some early points against the 49ers, and they can't break 13 after that. Yeah. He's 36 years old. He doesn't have Tom Brady's health. I'm starting to wonder whether he's just finito, whether it's not just because Kyle Pitts is their only receiving option this year. Maybe it goes a little deeper, and just Ryan is not only in the backside, but maybe he's close to Big Ben status as being over the hill.
I mean, 36 used to be an age where got to move on,
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not a fan of Matt Ryan. I've never been a believer in Matt Ryan. I'm not saying he's a terrible quarterback. I think this all stems back to the year he won the MVP, and I'm just like, good Lord, and he was always Matty Ice. He had that ridiculous record, that home, win-loss record for the longest time. And I just was like, this guy's like, he's fine. He's always said he's a slightly better version of Andy Dalton at his peak, and which that really upset Falcons fans, but that was absolutely true. But yeah, he just seems like it's either he's emotionally checked out, or he's just physically done, and it's hard to tell which one, because they've never recovered from that loss. They've never recovered from that Super Bowl
Belichick
loss.
comeback.
Yeah, they never have.
28-3, third quarter they're up, and they
28-3, second quarter, right? Yeah, it had to be second quarter.
It was late second quarter.
28, yeah, it was 28-3, late second quarter, early third. So yeah.
And we were all waiting for at least to come out. He was only down by 6. Tom Brady's only down by 6, and they couldn't manage a single point.
That was, that's what, the second or third time the Saints have blanked Brady or got close to blanking him. I mean, just giving him headaches. Was it the first game last year or the first game? Yeah, first game.
First game, and the Sunday night game, and
the picks.
But the Sunday night game, their second game against the Saints last year, he was even worse. Because that was a Sunday night game.
Whatever the Saints are doing defensively and try to replicate it against Brady.
It's bad. It's really and then I was like, right before you came on, and I told Ryan, I was refreshed on the fact that there was a Monday night game where Belichick and Brady played the Saints in the Superdome against Peyton and Breeze, and they got annihilated on Monday Night Football. And I remember Brady and Belichick standing on the sidelines with their hands on their hips, just confused. I don't know what it is about the Saints, but they have his number. They really do. At least in the regular season.
The Saints gave Manning trouble in that second half of that Super Bowl. So they find defensive ways to schematically match up that's creative. But yeah, it's to do it at Tampa Bay on night TV. I think Kelly in Vegas, who was the Barstool Sports Time Person of the Year because of her extraordinary run this year. I think she's up like 50 units with her triple parlay bets that kept hitting and hitting and hitting. She was there at the game with her grandmother. They had the Saints plus 11, but the way she put it is, generally you don't want to bet against Tom Brady in his prime time unless it's past his bedtime. And that was so made some money, but Brady, my guess, will bounce back. I think this is kind of a one-off of the Saints. They got him at the right time, right place. Might give him trouble down the road, but unless we see that something replicated in what the Saints are doing and it continue to work, Brady's the kind of guy that bounces back pretty fast.
And a lot of injuries happen even in that game. You had 3 big pieces go down with injuries in that game. But one thing it did open up is the MVP conversation. I think a lot of people felt that, Tom Brady was kind of sitting there in the driver's seat for the MVP. I think that changes, and that might go to a guy up in Green Bay that the mainstream media probably does not want to win the MVP in Aaron Rodgers, who, to be honest, they escaped from the Ravens without Lamar Jackson, which the more time Lamar Jackson misses, the less important he looks to that Ravens team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, impressive by Tyler Huntley. I mean, especially a great comeback. And those of us who had the Ravens on the points were thrilled they went for 2 at the end. Because the last thing we wanted was another one of these walk-off 6-point wins that had been happening in like 3 back-to-back overtime games. Like, had the Chargers last week, earlier on Thursday, and it was like, oh, this is money in the bank. And then somehow 6 points in overtime. But normally almost impossible to happen. But especially when the other team gets the ball. But
Robert, you might want to bounce and come back. Your camera's
you're freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, just if you just leave and pop back in, because it's freezing up. So we'll get him right back in here. It was freezing up for at first, and then it started doing it again. Go ahead and get those super chats until he gets back.
Pee Wee Pierre for $5. Not sports, but 2 things I want to see: a Packers Super Bowl and Joe Biden and Wokesters meet Satan by that time. There you go,
man. Savage.
Thanks, Pee Wee. That's pretty savage. Pee Wee Pierre for $5. Dr. Fauci whines about college football fans because droplets and viral loads, but silent on wokers breaking rules, Obama and BLM. Yeah, that's fine. It's fine to go out there and march in the streets because someone got shot. A career criminal got shot for doing something wrong. However, don't you dare go enjoy college football.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Pierre, another $5. If the Nets don't win the finals, because they don't have Irving. Blame de Blasio. Yeah, so Kyrie Irving got basically so many people got COVID on the Nets that they brought Kyrie Irving back, and as soon as they tested him, he's in health and safety protocol.
It's so stupid, dude. It's so dumb. What a clown world we are living in. And again, who was it that we were talking to? Zuby? Or was it Zuby on Friday Night Tights when he said, you know, just a few years, or you look back on history about things that happen, you're like, how did it get that bad? And now you look at where we're at, and you're like, oh my God, that's how it got that bad back then. I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's truly insane. So I don't know, man. I'm blown away. I'm blown away that we're at this point. I really am. As far as the MVP goes, real quick, because I know we were talking about that. Man, I kind of want Aaron Rodgers to win it just because the media does not want it to happen. But I mean, obviously, I would. But Brady's in my pick. I know Jonathan Taylor is the one that a lot of people are saying, but I kind of want Aaron Rodgers to go lights out and force the media's hand. And I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I'm a far bigger fan of Rodgers than I am the media.
Yeah, I hate Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers with all of my heart. So I don't want to root for that at all. But I do think that this puts him for a realistic, hey, who's going to win the MVP? I think something like would put him in the driver's seat. With Tom Brady having a really bad week like that, the Cardinals have kind of fallen apart, and Kyler Murray had another bad week now that they have a big injury there as well. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to give it to him, though. That's the problem. What else do we have? Go ahead.
That is the problem. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're asking me like just who do I think deserves it, I'm still gonna say Brady deserves it. He's leading I think after even last night, he's still leading the league in passing yards. He's done more. You know, they've asked him to do more than any other quarterback has. Now, if you want to bring running backs into it, that's fine. I totally understand that, but I'm going with Brady in terms of who I think deserves it, but it would be funny to see Rodgers win it just for the media.
I'd be surprised if we got a Jonathan Taylor MVP. He would have to go absolutely bonkers these last couple weeks. He's gone bonkers for sure, but he would need to make it so it's inconceivable they could pick anybody else, I think, for them to pick a running back this year. PWPR for 5. I saw Tebow at a minor league baseball game in Hartford, and he only signed stuff when the press was there, unlike Pete Alonso, who's a nice guy. There you go. Trashing your man there.
Trashing Tebow. Well, now we got defend. Help me defend Tebow, Robert. They're all, it's all out hate against our great Tim Tebow. So
I am still one of the greatest comebacks ever in NFL playoff history as we approach NFL playoff season.
That's right.
Demaryius Thomas.
Rest in peace.
I saw somebody like, rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. I saw someone reply to that. He was like, that's my favorite sport, like my favorite sports moment of all time. And I became a Demaryius Thomas fan because of that incredible feat. And someone replied under him and said, you thought it was that incredible? Watch someone running wide open across the open field. Like trying to take the piss out of him a little bit. And the dude got absolutely blasted because it was right after he died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got absolutely destroyed. At real quick.
Sounds like a bitter Steeler fan.
Yeah.
But speaking of an offense that doesn't work without key players, without Derrick Henry, all of a sudden Ryan Tannehill looks like the Miami Dolphins version of Ryan Tannehill. Cannot move the ball with any consistency at all.
I mean, Henry's such a monster, dude. He's such a freak.
They got to limp into the playoffs to get him back.
It's almost like when you're not putting Nate in the box, it's almost like every time you even look like you might be handing the ball off, you draw every single linebacker forward and every safety for that matter. It's almost like when you don't have that, it becomes a more standard NFL passing lane. And, for years, Ryan Tannehill proved he's a mediocre quarterback. He excelled when he got to Tennessee because he was the second option. Because that passing attack was the second option, and it was all built upon the run game of Derrick Henry. And when he went down, that's one of the – you can maybe count on one hand the amount of running backs in the league that if they go down, that's the effect it would have.
I'll never stop laughing at this picture. Mark Ingram looks like Looks like a little kid
He's
next
a child.
Yeah. I mean, Henry was just a different. I mean, Henry, like most sports bettors, the highest they'll put a running back is maybe half a point, maybe 1 point added to the power rating. Derrick Henry is worth 4, maybe 5 points. I mean, he's worth the difference between a good quarterback and an average quarterback. And there's almost nobody that has met that test in the last decade other than Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's a freak, man. He is a freak. And yeah, that picture that just puts in perspective. That's Mark Ingram, a legitimate NFL running back, still in the league, former Heisman Trophy winner, and that's him standing next to Derrick Henry at Alabama. That's crazy.
Yeah, insanity.
Oh man, so good.
Yeah, they both won the Heisman. Like the fact that there's that big of a difference, that those players play the same position, they both were excelled. You know what I mean? That they were both outstanding. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
It was like Randy Moss up against some average, but some good but physically average receiver. There's not that many people that Reggie White. I mean, I met him once. He filled up the whole doorway, and I was like up to him. I mean, he was looked like a Greek god. I mean, he was 6'7", 290, just pure muscle, and he was the fastest in a wide range of tests of any defensive lineman in the history of the NFL. It's just it's just insanity. 6'7", 290, and you're still sub 4.6. His combination of power and speed, they still have not. No one has broken. People have got close to it, but the testing of his power speed combo within the first 10 yards, and they have these specific tests they do in the NFL for it. Nobody's got close to what Reggie White could do. And that's why he could, literally do the moves he would do that would toss off 330-pound offensive linemen on their back. Derrick Henry is the running back equivalent of that. Reggie White is the only guy I've seen physically that reminds me of, for his position, of being just unbelievable, of being a unique, once-in-a-lifetime athlete.
Yeah, you got guys like Myles Garrett. Like Myles Garrett for Cleveland.
Remember, he only tried to take that quarterback's head off because he thought he heard the N-word, right?
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
This is a guy whose life should have been ruined out of probably the NFL totally, at least for a year or two, and he got to walk because he said he thought for sure he heard the N-word. He was pretty sure that Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback was telling him Myles Garrett when he was approaching him using come on. For some reason, all of his black offensive linemen didn't react in a strange way. Marquise Pouncey, all these other guys on the offensive line that are black, they had no problems with someone throwing around hard R's, apparently. It was just Myles Garrett that heard it. I can't, the way he swung, he ripped his helmet off and he fouled up. He is very lucky. He just lost his fuse. He's lucky there was no serious injury, and then he was lucky it was the right timing politically for him to just lie and get out of it, because that's what he did. And it's amazing how the media doesn't talk about it anymore. Like it never happened.
Yeah, no, just like they didn't talk about the LeBron story, with the fake hate crime. Clay Travis is the only person that tried to keep that story relevant. For all these years later, ESPN never wanted to talk about LeBron being Jussie Smollett before Jussie Smollett was Jussie Smollett. Garbage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about Michael Bennett? Remember the Michael Bennett story? Remember that damn thing?
When the
you
cops...
forgot they got cameras all over here in Vegas.
Yep.
You can't fake that kind of story in Vegas. Now,
absolutely,
and I'm not saying that Vegas cops don't have issues. Vegas cops do have issues. I'd stay away from it if you can. But he just made it up. He knew about the issues. He got into trouble. He decided to make up a story to get out of Dodge, and then he forgot that there were cameras watching everything he did. And then he just lied about it all. But it was amazing how the media just hushed that up. I mean, these big, prominent political personalities or public personalities getting to escape justice just by saying race, 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 and hoping that magically gives them a ticket. And in recent years, it has. Apparently, that was Michael Vick's mistake. Vick should have said, "Oh, no, I did. There people are targeting me because of race." And he would have had a better argument, frankly, than Michael Bennett did. Because, I mean, there is within certain subculture of the United States a more of a cultural welcoming for certain kinds of gaming participation, shall we say. I mean, they still do it in Mexico, certain aspects of this. You can go out, and it's usually chickens and other things, but they do the other too. I know the dog lovers don't like to think of it that way, but it's kind of reality. And I thought also Vick had broader sort of social arguments in anyway. It's like, which animals do we want to protect? We want to say it's terrible these animals get into fights. We don't like that as a cultural phenomenon. But we're okay with torturing an animal as long as we're going to eat them. I never understood exactly what the logic was on that.
We're okay with tying some around a bull's testicles and trying to see how long we can ride them. Shit like that. Yeah,
that's totally okay. But letting a couple of pit bulls do what they were bred to do what they were designed to do what those jaws were designed to do, somehow is supposed to be absolutely beyond remedy. You're supposed to be out of the league.
Man, Vick should have called you. Vick should have called you. Like you would have probably. He probably would have never served anything if Robert would have been on the case, man.
Well, they were more concerned about that than they would have been if he had some allegation he raped somebody.
I know.
Like, no doubt about it.
Well, that's what I was saying about Antonio Brown right before you came in. Like they're more upset that he faked the vax card than they would he potentially beat the hell out of a woman. Like it's just.
Or look at the I'm blanking on this. Oh, Deshaun Watson. There's almost been no media coverage of how many women have accused him. And he's telling people right now he'll be back next year, no problem. All his legal cases are going to go away. I guess he's going to write enough checks. I don't know. But I mean, the number of allegations is unbelievable. I mean, I find that far more concerning than Vick being part of a subculture that found dogfighting okay. I mean, we allow human beings to get in and beat the crap out of one another. It's like maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't, but when we criminalize one, not the other. One we condemn and say you can't be part of social society or success anymore. The other we give you trophies and we give you belts for, and we give you lots of money for. We got to figure out as a culture what's okay, what's not. But yeah, I think, but it's fascinating the disparity and the fact. And if Deshaun Watson was white, if Deshaun Watson was Aaron Rodgers, does anybody think the media gives him that kind of green light?
Nope,
absolutely.
Not at all.
Look at the difference in the way. I would say specifically in the NFL, the way they've treated unvaccinated white players versus unvaccinated black players. Now, obviously, in the NBA, it's a little bit different story, mostly because there's just not that many white players. So Kyrie Irving was kind of the poster child for it. But like they gave Kirk Cousins a bunch of heat, and Kirk Cousins was like, I'll do whatever I need to do. I'll surround myself in plexiglass. I'll wrap myself in a bubble, whatever I need to do to protect my team. He was trying to get out ahead of that. But Lamar Jackson's had COVID like 3 times, has missed time a couple times for it. Nobody says anything about Lamar Jackson.
Nope.
Now, to be fair, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think the heat would have been there if he had just said, I didn't get the jab, right? But I'm whatever, because people would have been like Kirk Cousins. There would have been heat on him for probably a week, and then it'd probably be over. But since he was a little misleading, and then it blew up after it realized what happened, that would have been
everybody knows I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers. So in terms of just a person, the fact that he used a word that no one understood was such an Aaron Rodgers thing, though. Like that was fucking beautiful.
Inoculated?
No. When he said when they asked him if he's been vaccinated, what did he say? What was the word?
I've been immunized.
Immunized, and no one knew what that meant. Like everybody's like, okay.
No, people knew what he that had exactly the effect he wanted to have.
Yeah,
he got asked no.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know what it meant.
He wanted them all to think that he had got the jab. He got asked a direct question, and he gave an affirmative answer and then elaborated.
It was
Aaron Rodgers. He directly misled them.
Yeah, but it was sophisticated. It was their fault for being nitwits, because I mean, all of them should have followed up with a follow-up question of, well, did you receive a vaccine in particular? And instead, when he said, yeah, I've been immunized, they should have known that was a cue. But what it reflected is their lack of familiarity in this area.
Yeah, I don't think they knew what it meant. Most people didn't. A lot of these reporters said they didn't know what it meant.
And a lot of the wokester media types see the ones that did know what it meant thought of it as equal. They thought the only way you could have immunity is if you got the shot, because they live in a fantasy land. They live in a land where natural immunity, that doesn't exist. I read the CDC report. They said that doesn't exist, right? And because sports media is being so infected by political bias, that's why ESPN is utterly unwatchable now, 9 times out of 10. Especially you go back and watch some of the older games and the older reporting where you get a lot of innuendo and all the other fun stuff that's being said. Now none of that. It's like watching some of the bowl games. It's so purged of any. Even the cameras, like most of the like they still do this at Fox to their credit, but the sports cameras used to find basically whatever the weirdo or the hot chick was in the crowd, right? I mean, at some point they tune them in. Not now. Now they're afraid to do that. Let's get the politically correct footage. Let's not even look at the crowd.
What was his name? Was it Musburger with the AJ McCarron's
look at
girlfriend?
Her. AJ McCarron, lucky man, lucky man.
You never see that.
I mean,
they don't make them that way. Yeah, the Alabama boys are lucky.
Oh, he used to go on and on about Florida State girls. He goes, man, they're in Florida State. Look at I mean,
he was even hitting on her mom, wasn't he? He's like, her mom ain't bad looking either. Like, the whole line.
That was old school. I enjoyed that part of it. It was like listening to a couple of pilots talk. Like every now and then you'll get some pilots conversation gets leaked. It's like, that's how they always talk. They're talking about stewardesses from that airline versus the other airline. So forth. But now it's all, politically correct, all kosher. They've taken out part of the colloquial, and they've taken out anything that's masculine about it, is really what they've done. They've tried to feminize. It's like, I understand women announcers and whatnot. It always throws me off when I see it in a football game. When I get some, horse, kind of, it's like, I don't want to, it's like, I have to turn off the sound because I don't want to deal with it.
Here we go.
Got it.
Here we go.
Back into the game. Now, when you're a quarterback at Alabama, you see that lovely lady there. She does go to Auburn. I want to admit that. But she also, Miss Alabama, and that's A.J. McCarron's girlfriend, okay? And right there on the right is Dee Bonner. That's A.J.'s mom. Wow, I'm telling you, quarterbacks, you get all the good-looking women. What a beautiful woman. Wow. A.J.'s doing some things right down in So if you're a youngster at Alabama, start getting the football out and throw it around the backyard with Pop.
That's so funny.
He's like, whoa.
that is, you can never do that now. These guys get thrown off the network.
No,
not
never.
for a second. Not for a second. And you really, and they stay away from even some of the weirdos because they're not sure if they're somehow stepping into the wrong territory. So, the guys with no shirts on and 0-degree weather, the guys that, have unique body shapes or whatever you call it these days, who are probably a little interesting, them being topless. None of that now. They don't, they may briefly show it and they take it away. Even That's like true. NFL games, all the crazy Raiders fans that are still even though they're Vegas Raiders, still loyal Raiders followers looking like punk rockers. They won't celebrate it the way they used to. The dog pound, they don't even call it the dog pound anymore in Cleveland. It's sad to see this effort to sort of demasculine sports with the way in which they announce and cover it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we got a copyright on that, Jeremy.
What?
Yeah.
God damn it! I swear to God, so stupid. What channel is the game on?
NFL Network.
Okay.
Kurt Warner. Do you guys see the Kurt Warner memes?
Yes, I did. It was so
did not. Good. What was this about?
You got to pull it up. It's his jacket he's wearing. He had this jacket, and boom! So the Raiders just hit it. 16-14. They won.
They won at the end.
Boom. Yep. And Renfro didn't do shit for me. Here we go, right here. So this is the jacket. And then show the meme.
I don't know where the memes are at.
Oh man, it was George. I think it was George Costanza. Yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of different ones.
Oh no,
here,
but
obviously.
The Costanza one was so good. Let me see if I can find it. Kurt Warner. It had to be NFL memes, probably.
He's a Jiffy Pop in this one. I haven't heard that one in a while.
Let's see, George.
An Aaron Carter reference. He's a German scientist in this one. Yeah, not the best choice for Kurt Warner, but he does have a movie coming out, which I'm kind of interested to see.
Oh yeah.
He's got a movie coming out. I think I don't know if it's out this week. I think it was releasing around Christmas. But I think Zachary Levi plays Kurt Warner in that.
Here we go.
Very Christian themed, or its audience, a very Christian targeted audience as well.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. The coffee coat.
That's so good.
That's perfect.
Oh, love it. Oh man. But yeah, it is it's weird, man, how these Cleveland Brown fans, I'm looking at them now, they are really sad. Where did that affect them in the playoffs? There were
they're now-
seven.
They're
There were
on the
7
outside looking in.
Yeah, so they were
Uh-huh.
7-6, so now they fall to 7-7.
And the Raiders cannot score because the Raiders didn't have a bunch of COVID problems, and they still just can't score without John Gruden. I mean, it's amazing. They had, 1 or 2 good games since he's been gone offensively, and this misery since then?
Yeah.
Yeah, not many. Here, I got the playoff standings right here. So that puts the Browns, they were 7-6 before. They haven't even updated it yet. So they fall to a full game behind the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, who are sitting here, because it's 7 teams now. 7 teams are going to make the playoffs, and you can see right here, Buffalo and Baltimore are both at 8-6. So Cleveland's now at 7-7.
Well, and I would not bank on Cleveland jumping either one of those teams. In reality, Buffalo and Baltimore are better teams, or at least better coached.
Yeah, it's crowded down here. Look at this. Cincinnati, Indy, Los Angeles, Buffalo, and the Ravens are all 8-6.
Wow.
The AFC is going to be a slug going down the stretch because the Chiefs, and I think we were going to talk about this at some point, but the Chiefs, after everything, all the struggles, all the drama, all this, they're now sitting, I would say, rather comfortably, just the way things have been going, even though it's only, maybe 1 game. They're sitting pretty comfortably at the top of the AFC in that number 1 spot.
And really, this year in the AFC looks to me like the Chiefs are at one level if they're playing up to their capability with Andy Reid and Mahomes. And then the next 10 teams are about even. I could see any one of those 10 teams making the Super Bowl.
Yep.
If they can
100%.
upset the Chiefs.
I agree.
And
I think the Bills, I'd say the Bills are the second best team objectively,
Probably.
like if you're really looking at that, but you're right that they could show up. They could just show up and not do anything,
I mean, any of those. I mean, it's rare that you have that many teams that you could legitimately, equally see. Because we've for the last 10, 15 years, we've usually had at least 2 or more quarterbacks in each side of the league that's an elite quarterback. A Drew Brees, a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, a Brett Favre. Guys that are just a 1 step ahead of everybody else. And at least on the AFC side, you only got one guy that maybe is like that, Mahomes, and he has shown capabilities of vulnerabilities this year that he hasn't shown in prior seasons. And Andy Reid does not have a great postseason record. If anybody gets upset a lot, it's Andy Reid.
Yeah.
He's not Belichick.
No.
And that's why they want that first round bye so badly, because of how well Andy Reid does off that bye. So the fact that we only have 1 team that gets a bye this year is huge. Get 7 playoff teams, but that bye week that the number 2 seed used to have has gone away. And, conversely, when we go and we look at the NFC, they've got a lot of top heavy teams here. Whereas the bottom half of the NFC is kind of garbage. Washington's still legitimately in the playoff hunt right now somehow. But, Arizona now with another loss, and now that they don't have DeAndre Hopkins, at least maybe until the Super Bowl, if that were a possibility, that offense has looked like they've struggled the past few weeks. A little bit banged up, and without that threat, I think DeAndre Hopkins is such an important piece for them, because the attention you have to give DeAndre Hopkins opens up the rest of that receiving core, who are talented, but it's not like you have, Justin Jefferson on one side and Thielen on the other. It's DeAndre Hopkins. Then you have a Christian Kirk, a Rondale Moore, an old ass AJ Green. But they're not that type of 1-2 combination. DeAndre Hopkins was important for them, and that's a big loss.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Well, on this side, I can really only see 1 of 4 teams making the Super Bowl: the Rams, the Packers, the Tampa Bay Bucks, or Arizona. And before the season was started, I said just 3. I've added Arizona, but as you note, Arizona's shown real vulnerability of late. But it's much harder for me to see all of those teams getting upset and anybody beneath them making the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm thinking that only 2 teams have a shot in the NFC, and I think that's the Packers and the Buccaneers. And I tend to think that the Packers should be the favorite going into the playoffs. I feel like they're playing better. They're playing more consistent, and they're not as reliant upon Aaron Rodgers to play lights out. He's going to play well.
They have a real home field, which they didn't have last year because there were no fans. They just had weather, not fans, and then it wasn't that windy, so it didn't matter much. But with real home field, that's probably the toughest place to go through to win, to get into this, other than New England. But on the NFC side, the toughest place to have to go to win to get to the Super Bowl this season will be Green Bay. I think that's the toughest, and if they are able to keep home field advantage, it is hard. I mean, they're going to be a strong favorite, and then right close behind will be Tampa Bay, and then some combination of the Rams, depending on how the Rams are playing end of the season, because Stafford's been a little bit up and down. But if they get Jalen Ramsey fully back once he's off the COVID protocols and Aaron Donald is healthy, that can be an elite team. But if they have to go through Green Bay will definitely have the edge. But I can only see those teams making it. I can't see the Vikings, upsetting everybody and getting to the Super Bowl.
What about the Cowboys?
Yeah, same with the Cowboys. I mean, do we trust Mike McCarthy on the road?
No,
I don't. And I think if the Jaguars are smart, they're going to hire the great offensive coordinator from the Cowboys, and we'll see if they sustain that offensive efficacy when it's back to Mike McCarthy's reigns, or Jerry Jones's reigns, as people.
I think they should hire Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah, that's really good.
I don't want him to go to Alabama whenever Nick Saban retires, which hopefully that's for another 10 years. But I don't want Dabo, so take him to the NFL. Let him be successful there.
Well, I mean, it was recruiting week in college football, and the Clemson had one of their weaker recruiting classes that they've had in the last 5-6 years.
They're definitely regressing. They're definitely regressing. So.
A&M is obviously surging. They had a great. I mean, but this was a year that was a perfect time for somebody outside of the traditional powers, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Florida, et cetera, to really seize the spotlight in the early signing period, because you had so much chaos at the top. Florida hiring a new coach, Miami hiring a new coach, the Texas coach only in his second season, the Florida State coach only in his second season, USC hiring a new coach, Oklahoma hiring a new coach, Oregon hiring a new coach, Notre Dame hiring a new coach. In that atmosphere, you should have been able to poach a lot of talent. Now, the one guy to take advantage of it was Jimbo Fisher at A&M. But a lot of other programs that could have, number 2 and number 3, Alabama, Georgia, number 4, Ohio State, same people. And there's such a drop off. Like, the difference between 2 and 3 is not very big. The difference between 4 and 5 is massive. You go from about 15 NFL players in your recruiting, NFL, serious prospects in your recruiting roster for those top 4 programs, to like 6 or 7 for that next, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. And some teams that surge late. Tennessee had a nice little surge given expectations, but there's only about 2 or 3 guys that are on their roster that are likely NFL prospects. And I think
A&M's going to be legit. You're right about A&M, though. I think they're surging. I think they're going to be a legitimate national championship contender next year.
Yep. I mean, they land an elite quarterback that fits his system. They got a bunch of elite receivers, they not only recruited well in the sense of 15, 16 guys that should make the league, they got guys that fit needs, which is what's so unusual. Sometimes these programs they get a bunch of talent, but it's at the same position, so who cares? Here they got they needed edge rushers, they needed corners, they needed wide receivers, and they needed quarterbacks, and they got all of the above. And did you
see what the moves Jackson State made?
Yeah. I mean, Deion Sanders stealing the number 1 recruit from Florida State and a cornerback to boot, and who was from the state of Florida to boot. So, and then of course Jackson State went out and got smacked as 10-point favorites in their bowl game. But but I think, and people thought it was because of the NIL, that the ability to have name, image, and likeness contracts that you can do for college players. But according to Deion Sanders, they didn't offer him a dime. That he did it in order to get the even more publicity. What he was evaluating is, with Deion Sanders as my coach, I'll get more marketing publicity than I will as just another guy on Florida State's roster. And I'm playing as a corner for the guy that was known as, the greatest college cornerback and arguably greatest NFL cornerback in history, in Deion Sanders. So I think but obviously a huge coup, shocked a lot of people. Name, image, and likeness deals are going to continue to revolutionize the college football. Transfer portal is going to continue to revolutionize college football.
Yeah, so we had transfer portal. The Auburn's quarterback Nix went to Oregon, right? I saw that.
Yes. Smart move by Nix. But what does that tell you? You're talking about the son of one of the great legends of Auburn football. Be like Bear Bryant's kid transferring from Alabama. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Well, Bo Nix is. I mean, I think it's a good move. It's about as far away from Alabama as he can get. He needs to be as far away from Alabama as possible.
And it's a system that wants a running quarterback that fits what he is. What he needs to be in is a running quarterback system. He's not a pocket quarterback.
Yep.
And that was clear. And then the Spencer Rattler goes to South Carolina. That was a bit of a startling transfer. Brings his tight end with him. Dylan Gabriel goes to UCLA. I thought he might go to Tennessee. He didn't. He goes to Chip Kelly in UCLA. So I think some of these programs are equalizing, and college football is starting to really – the ACC is really going to start equalizing. If Dabo doesn't turn it around fast at Clemson, and Dabo doesn't like NILs, and he doesn't like trying to get players out of the transfer portal, Clemson could be in real trouble. And you could see – and then you're going to see Miami start to surge. North Carolina had a much better recruiting class than Clemson did this year. And Mac Brown's going to continue to do well. You combine all of those things happening there, and if Florida State does ever pick it up, and they had a better recruiting class at least than Clemson did this year, then the ACC will be really competitive again. And, Sarkisian did okay at Texas. He didn't do well enough to compete in the SEC for the SEC title, unless he needs to take it up a notch. He got the number one quarterback to come back home from Ohio State, and I get a lot of people are excited about it in Texas. The one caveat there is he did lose out at Ohio State. So was he really the number one quarterback?
Right.
But, putting that aside, it's probably better than what Texas had this year.
Jimbo's got the juice in Texas right now, though. He's got all the attention right now.
And he got the number one high school recruit out of the state of Tennessee. That's where a lot of people were psyched about Tennessee's recruiting class because their expectations were so low coming off the risk of sanctions and all the chaos. But Tennessee didn't land a single one of its top 10 recruits in high school. Every player in the top 10 in Tennessee in high school left Tennessee. So it means Heupel's a good coach. He'll never be a great recruiter. So that's just the trade-off you're going to get with him. And he really proved it, especially this year. If you're a great recruiter, this was the year to exploit it. And it's interesting that the only guy who was able to was Jimbo Fisher, who was able to leapfrog into a number one position, stealing recruits, not only keeping kids home at Texas, which is easier when Oklahoma has transition, when Texas Tech is hiring a new coach, when TCU is hiring a new coach. And so when SMU has coaching transfer, all that helped him, of course. And Baylor's only in its second year. But it was particularly impressive how he went into other states and stole players. Went into Florida, got top recruits. Went into Tennessee, got top recruits. Went nationwide and got top recruits, which shows you how big it is to beat Alabama.
It is. That's the goal. Everybody's goal to beat Alabama, and they're going to keep trying for at least a few more years. Go ahead, Ryan. I know you need to catch up on some stuff.
Well, oftentimes we come on, we talk about, remarkable things that have happened, crazy plays, incredible records being set. Something happened this week that kind of went under the radar. It happened this morning that I don't think has ever happened in the history of the NFL. And it involves Bill Belichick apologizing to the media.
This is weird. This is weird. This is very, very weird.
Very not Belichickian. Belichick has treated the media as his puppet for years, for 2 decades. And he was not happy after Saturday's loss, where they looked really, really bad against the Indianapolis Colts. He snapped at reporters. He was short with reporters. Not very strange for him. This was very strange. Listen to this from Belichick.
Yeah, I'll just start off here. Look, fellas, I apologize if, I seemed like I was a little short with you after the game. Obviously a frustrating game, down 20-0, didn't do anything well enough. I mean, there isn't really much to say at that point without watching the film. Clearly we had problems in every area. So, there was no simple answer. And, every play could have been better. Every area of coaching could have been better. Every area of playing could have been better. And any of that would have helped. So, not really trying to be short, but honestly, there wasn't too much to say. I don't know if there's a whole lot more to say now, but, it's not
that is
fault.
what
You heard it at the end, though. Listen at the end. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
What is going on in New England right now? Tom Brady left. Everything's going crazy.
Okay, so I will say this, and I firmly believe this. Okay, we saw, and again, I think Belichick is an all-time great coach. I'm never going to take away. I love Belichick, okay? But I also understand that the luxury of having Tom Brady gives you so much leeway to do whatever the fuck you want. Again, contract the contract leeway that Belichick had to build that roster because you had the best player in the league taking a huge pay cut. When we saw last year when Belichick randomly just came out and started praising Cam Newton, we're like, what? Well, the reason you praise Cam Newton is because Cam Newton is the type of player that needs that positive reinforcement. He's not Tom Brady. He's not someone that you can just blister in front of the team to make an example out of the best player on the team so you can set a message for everybody else on the team. That's the luxury of having someone like a Tom Brady. That when you get away with winning every single year and you're the top team every single year, you can come out there and you can trash them. I think this has to do with the fact that he's losing confidence in his team and their, ability to take it to the next level. And he can't be as brass and rude as he's been in the past. That's the only thing I can think. Cause this is weird coming from Belichick. This is weird. We're on to Cincinnati. This is the guy who's had so many classic one-liners that I've literally shown my mom. Because I'm like, Mom, look at this. Even my mom could understand how much of an asshole he was. And she knows nothing about sports. So this is weird.
Well, now you just gotta show this clip.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. I just want to apologize. It's not your fault. What do you think about this, Robert?
I think they're going to meme that it's not your fault into a wide range of memes. It's going to be, just because it's Belichick saying it the way in which he says it. He says it almost like it is your fault. You know what I mean? It's not your fault. You know what I mean?
It's not your fault.
But obviously he was agitated by getting kind of out-coached in Indy is what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that always drives him nuts.
That is strange, man. That was strange.
Yeah,
very, very weird.
Very non-Bill Belichick-like, but
has Nick Saban ever apologized while he's been at Alabama to the media?
Not that I know of.
Did he apologize to any women or something for yelling at him?
Yeah, he apologized to what's her name? The chick that's at NBC now. What's her fucking name? Not Carrie Champion. Who's the other? I guess all black women are the same because why did I call her Carrie Champion? What the hell is her name?
I don't know. Not Michelle Tafoya. She's gone.
I'm blanking.
Oh my gosh. Maria
Rachel
Taylor.
Nichols.
No,
Maria Taylor.
Yeah, Maria Taylor.
Maria Taylor. Yeah.
He's like, it don't matter. So quit asking, or whatever he said to her. He screamed at her.
I'm not going to tell you. So quit asking. That one?
I'm pulling it up right now.
He freaked out. Yeah.
It's so good. And we'll
because it was a woke black woman, he needed to apologize, basically.
Yes.
That's the story of that.
To apologize. Let's see.
Matrix and Roadshow. What's up, John? Channel member says Brady is still MVP because the media won't vote for Aaron Rodgers.
That's probably the case. That's probably the case. All right. I hope there's no memes in here that I'm not aware of. Okay, here we go. I haven't double checked it, but here we go. I love Saban.
13 was running the show. Let's get into Maria with Coach Saban.
All right, Coach, everyone had questions about who was going to start at quarterback when this game started. What answers did you have about your quarterbacks after watching both of them play tonight?
Well, I still like both guys. I think both guys are good players. I think both guys can help our team. All right, so why do you continually try to get me to say something that doesn't respect one of them? I'm not going to. So quit asking.
That'd be memeable. Quit asking me. I know. Combine that with the Belichick. It's not your fault. It's like when they did the combo meme of what's his name going to Bill O'Reilly when he
Bill O'Reilly and Christian Bale. Yeah.
That's still one of the greatest all time.
The thing I love about Saban, you can start to see him start to get worked up, and it's going to lead to why you could just feel it. He just started to get worked up.
She's smiling. She doesn't mind this. She's like, I got Nick Saban going nuts. This is perfect. Why are you asking? Why don't answer?
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
Look how wide open those eyes are.
That was after a victory.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's not like it was after a loss or anything. That was after they won the game. That's the best part of that. Oh man.
Oh man.
But yeah, fuck Maria Taylor. I hate her. Ramwell's Sandpage for 5. I told you guys yesterday Huntley would beat Rodgers. You did say that, and I said, nah, it's not going to happen. If Harvs didn't cost the Ravens for analytic points, he would have. Yeah, like, the more time that Lamar Jackson loses, the less valuable he looks. Honestly,
yeah, I mean, it's Huntley's played very. I mean, Huntley was good at Utah, but Utah wants managers. They're not looking for people to try to dominate games for them, like Jackson had to do so at Louisville. This is a very different animal, and so, but he's played well down back-to-back weeks because he got off to a little bit of a slow start, then played well down the stretch last week, and then played. And same dynamic, got off to a little bit of a slow start here, but then played really well down the stretch. And I don't mind Harbaugh going for 2. I mean, obviously I had money on the Ravens, so I wanted to see it. It was like, okay, now either I win this bet no matter what happens. In the analytics say go for 2. It's controversial because they didn't get it. But it's only controversial often because they didn't get it. It goes back to when Belichick went for it against Indianapolis many years ago, and everybody blasted him because he didn't get it. But he looked at the analytics. It was probably the right decision.
Yep. It is the right decision. It's like, especially too, if you get into overtime and you're going up against Aaron Rodgers, you know that one score is going to end it, that type of thing. That probably moves the needle in that direction a little bit as well. And I get people who are going to be upset at a coach whenever something like that doesn't work. But when you look at the job Harbaugh has done in Baltimore for years at this point, I think dude's one of the best coaches in the league, no doubt.
Oh, that's absolutely true. I mean, you look at him from a spread perspective, same dynamics. He has Andy Reid kind of stats in terms of, coming off anytime he gets time to prepare, he's really good. And this was a game they thought a lot of people, I think I forget, the spread was almost 10 points, I think, at game time. I mean, they didn't think this game was going to be competitive. And he still doesn't have a running back on that team, that they anticipated having at the beginning of the season. And yet he's still competing in these games. In fact, he covered back-to-back weeks with a backup quarterback. I mean, it's Harbaugh is just a real tough-nosed guy. And that's where if I was in the postseason, I would almost bet on coaches in the AFC because all you have is Andy Reid and Mahomes that look any tier above anyone else. And they didn't look that way for most of this season.
Yep. Absolutely.
I know we got some Streamlabs. Ryan's about to get to them. We got a couple questions for Robert. So...
Yep. So Eric K for $1 did say Winston's garbage, but they should have kept Bridgewater. Well, Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if we've had any update on him. He fucking took a bad. It wasn't even a bad hit. He's just.
I saw that live.
His body's,
that looked bad.
So did I. I was getting ready for my stream and I saw that happen, and I was like, I'm gonna be a little late for my stream because I need to make a video. And it wasn't even a bad hit, but he's just one of those guys who it's just gonna be that way with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, that's Bridgewater. Some of these guys, when they get hurt, that's just kind of it. Though
I thought that motherfucker was dead.
Cam Newton should really retire. I mean, that was an ugly performance in Buffalo. I mean, he's going out really on his last legs. Time to just hang up I hope he says he announces he's done finally by the end of this season.
Hang up the Superman cape, huh?
It won't hurt my feelings one bit. Fuck you, Cam Newton.
Well, it reminds me of a Second City skit that comes from Saturday Night Live after Christopher Reeves had his accident. And they did really politically incorrect humor. And they were playing the Superman music. And then he came out in a wheelchair.
Oh, damn.
But that's kind of where Cam Newton is right now.
Yeah, I heard that.
Famous Alabama Scam Newton.
Cam Newton is post-horse in his Superman career right now. Yeah.
Speaking of that, Bama grad. I don't know if Bama grad is watching, but I did get this in my P.O. box. So today.
Popcorn?
Yeah, it's actually made for Golden Flake, so for chips. So and there's a bag of chips in here, and there's also a Christmas card. And it's all themed around Nick Saban. I'm not going to show this because I don't know if it has his name on it, but let me make sure. Yeah, it's got his name, so I'm not going to show it. But it's Nick Saban on here. And, yeah, good stuff. So thank you. Just wanted to give you a shout-out for that one. 2020 national champions, Roll Tide. So
I got to shout out SBD girl. for getting me this awesome Bears water bottle. I got my Bears hat just in time to probably see them get their ass kicked tonight, but that's all right.
I got money on the Bears, so they got to at least cover. Just don't lose by 4 more. I think the line went up even more, but I got them at +4.
Kirk Cousins' night game primetime is not good.
That's
He
true.
is not good. So probably a safe bet, regardless of who fucking starts for the Bears, because it really doesn't matter.
I was also, since we're on it, you got to full screen me for this one.
All right.
I was sent this. I'm not gonna say who sent it, but because it's I got to get it out of this plastic. But I'm not gonna say it's who sent it or where they sent it from. But I got that. If it'll show, come on.
The Trump thing.
Yeah,
Trump 20.
Trump with. It's got Pence there. It's got
Pence crossed out and the 2020 crossed out.
And hang on. Let's see if it's a MAGA hat. So, but you can't see it. It's a little mini MAGA hat. So
that's awesome.
Heck yeah. So that is good stuff. I appreciate that. But again, I'm not going to say who sent it because I don't know if they want their information out there. And SBD girl sent, she sent me and Ryan stuff. So she's great. We have great supporters.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
Best. And I got a couple Streamlabs. Jeremy, do you need to hop out real quick?
Yeah. I got to bounce. I got hard out right now. But thank you, Robert, for being here as always. Ryan, fuck you because you're a little bitch. Because that's just how we do things at Geeks and Gamers. But I'll be live
I'm going
tonight.
to score more points than you in fantasy this week.
I'm really not happy. It's trending bad for me after a great, fantastic first season. All these injuries are kicking my ass now.
Welcome to fantasy football.
I'll be live. I'll be live tonight for geeksandgamers.com premium. We've actually had a few recent yearly subscribers to the website. So thank you guys. So looking forward to seeing those new members tonight. We're playing Mario Golf, me, Drunk 3PO, Johnny 64. And it's going to be, who else is joining? Was it Lyndon it was Lyndon. So Lyndon, Johnny, me, and Jay are going to be playing Mario Golf. We're going to have our rematch. So that'll be in an hour and a half. So you guys have a good one and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.
All right. See you, Jeremy.
All right.
So the rest of Eric K's super chat was Reggie White learned his hump move from Howie Long, even credits him because Howie was double and triple teamed his whole career.
Yep, that's true.
There you go.
Howie was a great one. Old school Raiders.
I really always loved Howie Long. I never watched him play because I was too young, but I loved him as a commentator. Back when that Fox crew was like the team to watch. You know what I mean? Like that's just what you did. You turned on Fox pregame, even if you were going to watch a game on CBS after, because that was just the better broadcast. They had fun. It was a blast. Now, recently, they just got too heavy in identity politics and garbage, just like has ruined so many other things.
No doubt.
Rest of the Cripple with 5 Streamlabs here, including a question for Robert. Robert, you're a fan of conspiracy stuff. So I wanted to get your opinion of my NFL one. About 45 years ago, Al Davis won a lawsuit against the NFL. Over that time, the league average for penalties per game is 6, and every NFL team has had at least 6 seasons below the penalties per game average, except the Raiders. In 45 seasons, they have had 0 seasons below the league average. What are the odds of that happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's an open secret the NFL has waged war on the Raiders ever since Al Davis won that suit. No doubt about that. And frankly, it's continuing. I mean, they target John Gruden when he's at the Raiders, force the Raiders to fire him on bogus grounds, subject them to a lawsuit, and now a season that's really gone down the tube since that started out so promising. That they even though the Raiders have moved from Oakland to Vegas, even though Al Davis is now dead and his son is in charge, the same bias by the NFL hierarchy continues unabated.
Now, I guess to play devil's advocate a little bit, do you think that 45 seasons to have none below that is insane. However, I would say for the most of the Raiders teams that I remember, even the bad teams, very much try to embody the tough Raiders idea, whether they're getting people, the brand exactly. And it's like, they're hard nosed. They're guys who are going to play after the whistle, that kind of stuff.
Guys that are doing steroids back in the locker room in the late 70s, that kind of thing. Yeah, no question they played into that preconception about them. But what's interesting is even when John Gruden was coaching them, even when Rich Gannon and they made it to the Super Bowl that year, even when they had different kind of coaches that were less that over the top, they still were discriminated against at some level. Some of that is due to their own branding, but probably a part of it's due to the league making it clear to everybody involved it's okay to screw the Raiders.
Yeah. There it is. So there's your answer, Ressa. Thank you very much for the Streamlabs. And that'll about do it for us. Let me check, make sure there's nothing more. All right, Robert. So you have the Bears tonight when it comes to the points.
I'm actually cheering for the Bears. The Bears tonight. Just hang in there. Just don't lose by more than 4.
That's a kind of a tall task, to be honest with you. For this Bears team.
Is Justin Fields playing tonight? Who's playing?
I hope not. I honestly think the offense looks better with Andy Dalton, to be honest.
I don't know.
The
Red Rifleman just needs one more good year, or we just need Kirk Cousins to have his primetime collapse.
There's 3 quarterbacks on the Bears roster right now: Justin Fields, Nick Foles, and Andy Dalton. And I don't understand why they're paying all of them, but obviously Justin Fields is the future there.
Are the coordinators gone? Did I see something like that? They're gone tonight, but for COVID protocols or something?
I believe so, which is not good because Matt Nagy's terrible. So,
all right, you mean because Nagy's going to be replacing him?
Yeah, Matt Nagy should be calling. I think Matt Nagy's going to call plays, which is not a good thing. Hopefully they just work David Montgomery's ass off. They're going to wear the hell out of that dude, unfortunately, for his career. But I'm never optimistic as a Bears fan because I've been a Bears fan for too long to be optimistic. So we'll see what happens. What do you guys got going on over at sportspicks.locals.com?
Yeah, so got a bowl package up. For people who've been taking the package all year long, they've doubled their money. We're hoping to continue to do well throughout bowl season and playoff season, and starting with NBA and college basketball up after the new year. So you can get free picks and predictions for the rest of the year at sportspicks.locals.com.
There you go, guys. All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you, Robert, for being here. We'll be right back next week. Same place, same time for some Monday evening quarterback. And we will talk to you guys later. Peace.